center-left political streamer Destiny went on Tim Pool's show. Tim Pool, I would describe as right-wing. And they got into a little back and forth here, a debate on the Trump indictment. And I thought this was interesting. Let's take a look and we'll break it down.
Again, fair point. We'll see what happens. My issue with it for the most part is really falsified record misdemeanor charge. You want to get into the debate about Barack Obama blowing up a kid? Because I would absolutely love to talk about that. Look, if they want to give Trump a misdemeanor charge and lock him up for however many months a misdemeanor gets him, I would absolutely be willing to make that to agree. You're right. He's got to be charged. Next up, Obama. He blew up a kid. He blew up a bunch of kids.
I don't know if Obama broke a law.
I don't think Americans of any capacity are allowed to kill other Americans.
Of any capacity? Don't cops do it all the time?
Not like.
I mean, it seems like they in the service of doing.
That's a little bit of a semantic trick you played there, right?
Okay.
Obviously, you can kill people in self-defense, but Obama bombed a civilian restaurant in Yemen, a country we're not at war with, killing civilians, including a 16-year-old American citizen. Like, you can't, if you're in the military, you can't just, or a cop, you can't just go and kill somebody.
Murder. You can't murder.
Yeah, but I imagine the justification Obama would use was that this was in defense of U.S. interests or defense of the United States. And in his role as commander-in-chief, the president of the United States has offered wide deference from the Supreme Court for taking actions in the commission of protecting the United States, even if we disagree with them.
Yeah, I think that's criminal. I mean,
but that's fine. But there's a different question of like, is it illegal versus do you think it's criminal, like bad, right? It's probably bad, I guess, but like.
So the Obama administration's argument was that they were trying to target a terrorist leader. But I'm not. I mean, you make a fair point, but I'd be willing to argue that the president does not have the authority to bomb countries we're not at war with.
Well, what about when Trump assassinated Soleimani? That was an assassination.
Where was that taking place in?
In Iraq.
In Iraq,
yeah.
A country we have an AUMF over. An authorization for use of military force.
I don't think the authorization for use of military force. I'm pretty sure we were on good terms with Iraq at that point. I don't know if we had the ability to do whatever we wanted in that country. That was a political assassination, though. But there are executive orders that are against the United States.
I don't disagree.
Sure, but I'm just saying that in general, there's multiple questions going on here. We can say, do we think it's wrong or bad? Probably. I think generally the United States president killing American citizens is generally a bad thing, unless there's really good justification for it. But there's a difference between that versus is it illegal? And I think that the law tends to, we argued about this a little bit before the show, when Trump was doing things at the border that we thought, when I say we progressives and the left got really mad at, the Supreme Court tended to side with him because the president has given wide deference over matters of
what was he doing
national
on the
security.
border?
I think it was when he was using, he couldn't get the funding for the border wall. No. It was over banning certain people coming into the country. When he named there were 7 Muslim majority countries, and when he was running for president, even Giuliani said he's trying to find ways to do a Muslim majority ban. Technically, he's not allowed to do that.
Venezuela and North Korea were on that list, though.
Yeah, well, he changed it up, I think, after the first one didn't go through for whatever reason. But once he did that ban, when people tried to challenge it, the Supreme Court basically said, president, border, he can do almost anything he wants because it's the president of the border.
Yeah, but that's not blowing up a kid.
I didn't say it was blowing up a kid. But I'm just saying that in general, you would think that, like, when we're talking like border, if we're talking about like passing policy at the border, that seems like a congressional thing. Like, we should be passing laws about immigration policy. But the president can do that basically all on his own because the Supreme Court's like, hey, he's a president, national security, he can do almost whatever he wants.
I think I see the disconnect. I'm less concerned with legality.
Okay, I'm only talking legality. So.
Right. So I think that a president who bombs a country we're not at war with should be stripped of his power and criminally charged for killing an American citizen. And it should be literally under the U.S. murder statutes that are covered by multiple state and federal laws. I don't look at it like, well, Is
a murder statute, could I, in Tennessee, get arrested if I bomb somebody in Yemen? Is that I don't know what the...
I mean, that's a good point. You might, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, that might be like way worse than murder. It might be terroristic, international. There might, like, I'm pretty sure if you, as an American citizen, set off a bomb in a foreign country, you'd be criminally charged in the U.S.
But I don't know if it'd be under state statutes, right? That sounds like some
federal,
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Julian Assange is being criminally charged.
Okay, so the point from Tim Pool appears to be like, okay, maybe I grant you Trump committed a crime. Maybe I grant you. Well, he says it's a misdemeanor. It's actually not. It's 34 felonies. And yes, it's a novel application of the law because it's like committing certain crimes in service of other crimes. So there's never been a case tried exactly like this before, but it's definitely felonies. It's not misdemeanors. But his point seems to be like, really, this is nothing compared to the crimes of other presidents. And he references Barack Obama killing Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, 16-year-old American, and basically getting away with it. And his point is like, yeah, I could sign up for Trump being arrested, but, arrest the other guys too. And look, here's the reality, though. This is an article from very early into the Trump administration. 8-year-old American girl killed in Yemen raid approved by Trump. Anwar al-Awlaki's daughter, Nawar, may have been fatally shot in intelligence operation on al-Qaeda that left at least 14 people, including a U.S. commando, dead. This is a raid that was viewed as so extreme that even when it came to Obama's desk, he was like, that's too risky, that's too high stakes, I can't approve it, this isn't going to go well. It got to Trump's desk and Trump approved it. Now, also, Trump increased the drone war by over 400 They tried to do a coup in Venezuela and were open about that fact. Trump admitted, I'm occupying a third of Syria to steal their oil, which of course is illegal under international law. He kept us in Afghanistan. He kept us in Iraq. As Destiny correctly pointed out, he killed General Soleimani, which was illegal. Now, look, the argument I would make is they're having two separate conversations. They're having a conversation about, like, is it legal or is it illegal or is it just bad, right? And they're trying to separate out those two conversations and say something could be bad but technically legal. And I'm here to make the argument, no, I think that all these things that we're talking about now are not only just bad, they're also illegal. It's true that the way the law is interpreted by the executive branch and even some very right-wing courts, they might grant massive leeway on certain issues, right? Like assassinations or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, even if I grant that, okay, then this thing is technically legal, it's still illegal under international law. You can't wage an offensive attack against a country that didn't attack you. You can't do it. It's not allowed. If any other country does that, it's, we'll see you in the International Criminal Court. That's unacceptable. And you could probably point to multiple laws that this violates. In the case of the U.S. even, you talk about Congress has to declare war. And we have the War Powers Act, which gives some leeway on that front, but it's only for a limited amount of time. But what they've done is they've taken the authorization for use of military force in the war on terror, and they've interpreted it in an insane way, where they say, this does allow us to attack anybody, anywhere, anytime. And oh yeah, by the way, it doesn't even have to be any of the people who are part of the original group, Al-Qaeda, which attacked us on 9/11. So look, if you get a good lawyer and you challenge it in court and you have standing, almost certainly you can get the proper interpretation into law. Because they've used, the authorization for use of military force for the war on terror, which is supposed to be to go after Al-Qaeda. They've used that to go after, for example, Shia Houthis in Yemen, who had nothing to do with terrorism against the United States of America, right? If anything, we are backing the people who are more linked to Al-Qaeda because it's Saudi Arabia and the Wahhabis and the Salafists who are fighting the Houthis on the ground in Yemen. So, yes, not only are all these things bad, I would argue they're also illegal. And I will grant the point that there are some, right-wing courts that would maybe disagree with me. I certainly grant you that the executive branch disagrees with me. But I think any reasonable interpretation of the plain-face reading of both U.S. law and international law would find that the drone war is illegal, the political assassinations are illegal. And to address Tim Pool's point more directly here, he's playing the game of like, really? With Trump. But guys, if you can get him on anything, you should. And I feel the same way if they were going after George W. Bush and Dick Cheney or Barack Obama. Like, I don't like this thing where it's like, well, this particular charge isn't exactly the one, and it's not as extreme as the other ones where they're bigger issues. So therefore, it's almost like excusing on those grounds. Whereas I look at it the exact opposite way, which is like, at least you're trying to get one of these guys on something that they did wrong, right? So, and by the way, I think there's more coming on the Trump front. I do. I think that you're probably going to see indictments when it comes to the Georgia case, the find me 11,000 votes, the fake elector scheme. You might even see charges when it comes to obstruction of justice for the classified documents. Remember, whereas Joe Biden and Mike Pence both cooperated with the authorities fully, whereas now apparently there's video evidence that Donald Trump did not cooperate and he obstructed justice. So I think you're going to see some charges there. Potentially there might be other business-related ones, So I'm just happy they're going after at least one of these guys for at least one of the things they did wrong. But, the fact of the matter is, yes, it would be better if you go after these people for various war crimes. But, unfortunately, we haven't had the proper challenges in court, and we're dealing with a rogue executive branch that has extreme interpretations that gives themselves wide authority. and a court system where at least some of the judges are super right wing and they interpret broad with this unitary executive theory where, yeah, it's like you could kind of do whatever you want foreign policy wise. Look, we wouldn't accept that if it comes to any other country. We wouldn't. So we shouldn't accept it for us either. You know, we would be screaming about how a country is a rogue nation and they need regime change if any other country acted 1/10 as extreme as we do on the global stage. This idea of we're the world's sole superpower and we're above the law. And I just think that's a dangerous precedent. It's a dangerous way for any nation to act, and we'd never accept if it was anybody else. And you actually should apply, the law equally across the board. I mean, Noam Chomsky said it best. If the Nuremberg laws were upheld, every post-World War II president, U.S. president, would be hanged. I think that's accurate. So whether you want to talk about, U.S. presidential action violating the Constitution or just other federal laws or violating international law, I mean, the job description of U.S. president is basically crimes committer. So you won't see me shed a tear for going after, honestly, any of these people. So anyway, the point that annoys me is when people sort of brush aside the Trump charges because of like the particulars of it. And it's like, really? Are we going to nitpick to this extent? I think the general feeling from the American public is actually exactly correct. The general feeling is like, yeah, there's probably a political angle to these charges, but also he should go down for it, and he did it. And it's like, yeah, I think that's all true.
Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.